Welcome to Exhuming the Truth, the podcast where we delve into the mysterious world of cold cases, missing persons, true crime, and the fascinating science that is forensics. I'm forensic scientist and criminologist Asha Walther, and I am so thrilled to have you with me on this journey as we dance in the shadows of the world of crime, shining a light on scientific discovery while becoming another voice for those who need it most. So get comfortable as we open our next case file. As always, I would like to extend a content and trigger warning. This podcast is recommended for persons over the age of 18 and contains explicit content not suitable for minors. We will be covering sensitive content that ranges from sexual assault, physical, mental, social, and emotional abuse, suicide, homicide, murder, attempted murder, and other violent crimes. This includes crimes involving weapons and drugs. This often extends to drug misuse and other harmful and illegal activity. If you find any content to be distressing, I have listed a number of resources that may be able to help you in the podcast notes. I would also like to remind our listeners that all victims and all perpetrators are someone's loved one, so I ask that in any discussion in our group or on social media, remain respectful of that at all times. By listening today, you acknowledge that all persons of interest remain innocent until proven otherwise. Good afternoon / evening / morning or midday or wherever you are coming from today. Thank you so much for joining us. We are going to start with our usual housekeeping. It is Thursday, the 30th of January, and we are still in the midst of a heat wave here. So it is still super hot. It was, I believe, 40 degrees today. So the aircon's back on. So to start with housekeeping, I have to shout out to my friend Josh for helping me with some teething issues with publishing the first episode last week. That was difficult, we shall say. He was my emotional support person. I was eating cheesecake. I was stressed. It is very confusing, but I think I have sorted it out. If I have not, and you're having issues downloading anything, please let me know. But again, there's going to be teething issues, but I am going to get through it. So that is what I had to get out of the way first and foremost. So currently you can subscribe just regularly, I think, on the Buzzsprout website that I posted, or you can subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on. If you can do that, that would be amazing. It doesn't matter if you are doing Exhuming the Truth Plus, which is the paid content, which will probably be next week's episode. Even if you're just subscribing and popping in your email or showing us some love, that's amazing and I appreciate it so much. So all of the subscriptions, both paid and non-paid, keep us going. So please do subscribe and share or have a chat about the podcast with someone. I appreciate it so much. So coming up, I have a little mini series that will be spread out over a number of episodes, and that will be for the Plus subscribers that are paying. That is only going to be part of the paid subscription, only due to the extent of the work that I have done and am doing on these cases. I have been in full hyper-focus, working from the floor mode, which means I am deeply, deeply invested. I am doing my best forensic work on this. I am also doing crime reconstructions. It's going to be very content heavy, and I hope that we can get some people on board, some special guests. We have one lined up. So for those who are subscribing to the paid bonus episodes, that's what you're going to be getting. I'm still in the process of doing this mini series as I just wanted to get in touch with a couple of other people, but we'll talk about that next time. I also want to touch base on bonus episodes for those paid subscribers and what you would like to see. You can shout out, send me an email, whatever you would like, and I will get on top of that. Next for housekeeping, I just wanted to extend my gratitude to everyone who is listening. So I really appreciate it. I put a lot of work into it and I love getting feedback and I love hearing that people have actually tuned in. So thank you so much. Also, welcome if this is your first listen in. And a special thank you in particular to my mentor, Carsten Bettles, who works for Amber Alert Europe. He has recently retired from the police force in Germany. So, on top of all of that incredible work, Carsten actually runs the ICAP, which is the International Cold Case Analysis Project. And from day one, as my time as a student in ICAP through to my more recent times as a team leader, he always has been super supportive. He's always encouraging, and most importantly, he's very open to discussion and progression, which can be very rare in a career like this. So, thank you for listening in all the way from Germany, Carsten, and for your ongoing support. And if you're also tuning into this episode, thank you again. Hopefully, together we can share some more about ICAP on this podcast and we can get the project some more exposure like it so rightly deserves. They do awesome work and I love being a part of it. So, hopefully, that will be in an up and coming episode. And lastly, I just want to repeat and extend today's content and trigger warning as this episode mentions child abuse and child exploitation. That brings us to today's introduction, which takes us to the kitchen, living room, family room, bedrooms, or front lawn of any family residence countrywide. It's Thursday, the 30th of January 2025, and children across Australia are starting to head back into the new school year. This should be an exciting time for everyone involved. A new year, new opportunities, and a lot of growth to come. But these memories can be quickly tarnished by the online world at a simple click of a button. That's right, back to school safety. Today's episode is going to bring us a few messages from the AFP, WA Police, the eSafety Commissioner, along with a couple of brief case studies that might help parents and families make the right decisions about their digital footprint. As a mother, my entire life revolves around my children. Without them, I feel like I really have nothing to share online unless it's about my pets. They are my whole identity. Our kids, more often than not, become our whole world. It's only natural to want to share them. I know I do. But how well do you know your friends' lists? When was the last time you updated your privacy and security settings online? What about the privacy and security settings on the device that you're using to share these images with? Right now, I can say without even counting, I have seen at least a dozen back-to-school photos in the last 24 hours on my social feeds. Logos showing, names and year levels shared, even some of the back-to-school blackboards with their teacher's name or clues about their personalities, like what they like and what they don't like. Innocent information to them and to us. But in the wrong hands, any information is information to be shared and to be used to lure children in and hold images over parents' heads or share images to AI or child exploitation users. So please, sit uncomfortably with me while I share some stories and statistics before some helpful tips and resources. As always, I have included some helpful resources in the podcast notes and a little extra for things that relate to today's episode. Let's start with a case study. WA man charged with 28 online child abuse related offences. In a joint release from the Australian Federal Police and WA Police, it was disclosed that a West Australian man fronted Perth Magistrates Court on the 29th of August 2024, facing charges of alleged access, possession and transmission of child abuse material. JSIT WA, also known as the West Australian Joint Anti-Child Exploitation Team, consists of the AFP and several WA Pol members. The JSIT team made an arrest on the 56-year-old male after receiving a tip from the Australian Centre to Counter Child Exploitation, also known as the ACCCE. This outlined the man having numerous conversations about the sexual abuse of a child and also accessing child abuse material. On the 28th of August 2024, JSIT officers allegedly linked the 56-year-old male to the illegal online activity and exercised a search warrant on the man's home in Two Rocks, where they allegedly found evidence of child abuse material that was being transmitted via an encrypted communications application. The officers seized the electronic device for further forensic examination. An AFP detective superintendent says, "Children are not commodities to be used for the abhorrent gratification of sexual predators." Our message to online offenders has not changed. If you procure, access, and transmit child abuse material, you will be found, you will be arrested, and you will be prosecuted. The 56-year-old man was charged with 20 counts of transmitting child abuse material using a carriage service, 7 counts of accessing child abuse material using a carriage service, and 1 count of possessing child abuse material using a carriage service. The maximum penalty for each of the offences is 15 years imprisonment, and that generally comes with a parole period unless the court has stated strictly non-parole. Let's move on to a second case study. Australian children's personal photos misused in AI. The Human Rights Watch said, "Personal photos of Australian children are being used to create powerful artificial intelligence tools without the knowledge or the consent of the children or their families. These photos are being obtained from the internet and social media and put into enormous data sets that companies are taking and using to train their AI tools. These tools are then being used to create malicious deepfakes that put even more children at risk of further exploitation, and more often than not, without even knowing." A children's rights and technology researcher and advocate for Human Rights Watch says, "Children should not have to live in fear that their photos might be stolen and weaponised against them. The Australian government should urgently adopt laws to protect children's data from AI-fueled misuse." And of course, I couldn't agree more. The Human Rights Watch uncovered a dataset that was being used to train AI via scraping the internet, also named Lion 5B. Datasets that were uncovered contained links to identifiable photos of Australian children. Some children even have their names available, listed in a caption or provided via URL where the image is saved and stored. The identities of the children are then traceable, which includes the child's location at the time of the photo and what time the photo was taken. Are you scared yet? Stay seated, because one photo features 2 boys, ages 3 and 4, both grinning as they're holding paintbrushes in front of a colourful mural with the caption including their full names, ages, their preschool name and location, all in Perth, Western Australia. Lion 5B also uncovered 190 photos of children from all Australian states and territories, which is a gross undercount of the number of children's images and personal data yet to be uncovered, as they estimate that they have only reviewed 0.0001% of the 5.85 billion images and captions contained in this dataset. These images are said to span the entirety of the child's life, including newborn photos, C-section photos, toddlers, book week images, children at the swim school carnival. It is so important to note here that many of the images were uploaded long before Lion 5B was created. But it doesn't end there. AI models are notorious for leaking private information, such as reproducing identical copies of medical records and photos of real children. Once AI is trained, it cannot forget the data, even after it's erased. This paves the way for AI to do, as it has been reported to do, which is producing clones of images of children on the internet to generate explicit imagery. You guessed it. Lion 5B found exactly that. The Human Rights Watch said that approximately 50 young girls from a school in Melbourne reported that photos were taken from their social media accounts and were AI manipulated to generate sexually explicit deepfakes of them, which then circulated online. The Australian Attorney General Mark Dreyfus recently introduced a bill in Parliament that will ban non-consensual created or sharing of sexually explicit deepfakes of adults, noting that such imagery of children would continue to be treated as child abuse material under the criminal code. But despite this, the Human Rights Watch said that this approach misses the deeper problem that children's personal data remains unprotected from misuse. Why do we have to wait to be in that position? Why can't we be proactive for our kids? The Australian government is set to introduce a reform to the Privacy Act, which includes drafting Australia's first child data protection law, known as the Children's Online Privacy Code. The code will protect the best interests of the child and their full rights in the collection, processing, use, and retention of children's personal data. Before we go ahead and look at some statistics and then some helpful resources and some tips, let's just jump in to one last case study. Give that a moment to sink in. This new age of AI is incredibly scary and relates directly to all of us who are using social media. Social media photos have been found in child exploitation sites. This is no joke, you guys. Sit tight for this one. Innocent photos of children originally posted on social media such as Facebook and Instagram make up to half the material found on some pedophile image sharing sites, according to Australia's new Children's E-Safety Commissioner. Up to half, you guys. Tens of millions of photos of children doing everyday activities are posted on popular sites such as Facebook and Instagram, and they have been found by investigators looking into complaints about child abuse material online. A senior investigator at the E-Safety Commission, Toby Dagg, said that on one site with at least 45 million images, about half the material appeared to be sourced directly from social media. There were albums upon albums of photos of children, labelled with things like "my daughter's Instagram friends," "kids at the beach," etc. The Children's E-Safety Commissioner Alastair McGibbon said his investigators have found sites containing child exploitation material where innocent images were presented in folders named thematically, like "nice boys play in the river" or "gymnasts." When doing this research, you guys, the images are almost always accompanied by highly explicit and very disturbing user comments. Often users exchange email addresses with invitations to connect outside the site to trade more content. When you post anything online, does not matter where it is, you have lost control of it. I know I am guilty of sharing things online, that is no secret, but I think this is a lesson we can all learn. Because oversharing parents are a concern, because we have no idea where our images are going. And what we can learn here is it doesn't matter how innocent these photos are, how innocent we know they are. As soon as you post that, you have posted something that a predator is looking for. They will take that photo. We all need to understand that that photo is worth something to someone bad, and it's not going to be for a purpose that we like. All right, I'm going to move away from the case studies and go straight into some statistics, which are really, really useful in just giving the picture in black and white. No grey areas, it is what it is. So if you haven't heard of Bravehearts before, they are a child protection organisation in Australia. They operate Australia-wide. They're dedicated to preventing and treating child sex abuse. The work that they do is amazing. This is a great resource if you want to have a bit more of a read on what they do and other bits and pieces of really valuable information. They have released a lot of statistics, and I want to read some of them to you today. Almost all, so 94% of teens aged 13 to 17 years of age, 2/3, so 67% of primary school children aged 6 to 12 years, and over a third, so 36% of preschoolers aged 3 to 6 years have their own personal mobile screen device. That is high. That is super high, and I think that is most of us giving our children a device because that's just the world we live in right now. 71% of teens report using a smartphone every day. 17% of primary school children report using a smartphone every day, and 13% of preschoolers report using a smartphone every day. 3 in 4 teenagers and 1 in 6 primary school age children have their own social media accounts, and 2/3 of Australian children use screen-based devices without adult supervision. So as of June 2015, over 935,000 Australian teens had gone online in the previous 4 weeks. So that equates to 82% of all teens. And that is a 74% rise 4 years earlier. And we're talking 2015, guys. It's 2025. I don't even want to know the stats of that right now. I want to go into a little note from the AFP, and also I will note that the AFP also posted a video to their Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Those are the 3 that I did see, which was super useful on back to school photos. I highly recommend you go and watch it. So I've taken some notes down from Helen Schneider. She's the AFP commander who has written these notes here. And she said that small actions can mitigate big risks. Get it, Helen? I agree. So something as simple as blurring or obscuring the logo on your child's uniform or in the background of an image can help ensure they don't become a target. That is a huge one, you guys. I've seen so many photos with the logo showing. The seemingly innocuous details, such as a child or young person's favourite hobby, like I said with the blackboard earlier, or a street address visible on the front door, can enable offenders to build a profile of the child with the intent of grooming them or even manipulating parents or carers to gain access or leverage. So Helen says she also urges parents and carers to check their privacy settings to ensure pictures and information can only be accessed by trusted friends and relatives. So there's lots of ways to do that on Facebook. I think Facebook is one of the most secure social media sites in that sense. They've really upped their security, so you can go on and check up on your privacy settings. So the AFP have also put together some top tips for parents and carers coming into the new school year. They are: keep your child's personal information, including full name and age, private. Ensure the background of photos or videos don't give away your address or location. Do not check in on your photos or your posts. Avoid posting photos in school uniform. Only share images of your children with people you know and people who you trust. For community accounts, consider having a closed group with approved members and ensure you have strong privacy settings in place. And with that comes my own final advice, just to add on top of that, your privacy and account checkup. So your privacy health on all of your social media, you can check up on that and go through your settings. You can even ask a friend to view your profile on your behalf to check what they can see and access. That's a really good way. Like they said earlier, to check your privacy settings and make sure your social media accounts are secure and set to private or friends only. Clean out your friends list, guys. Lots of people get hacked. Delete those people. Delete people you don't know or haven't spoken to in a while. Check the privacy settings on the device you are using. We've said that 500 times. Do not allow others to share images of your children. Make sure people get consent before they share these pictures. You don't know where they're going, guys. The background of the image, there's a nice little tutorial by the AFP on how to remove the background of an image of a photo before you post it. I thought that was quite good. Don't post your suburb. Keep your child's uniform logo hidden. We've said this. The yearboards are big ones here, guys, seriously. Full of information, like my child's name is Bob. He is 4 years old. His teacher is Mr. Smith. His favorite color is blue. All of these things, not good. Please don't do that. Never publicly name or share the age of your child. So that's pretty much the same. So the AFP have a program to prevent online child sexual exploitation. You can find that on their website. I think that's a very useful resource if you want to jump on and have a look. I know this was a very different style of episode. I actually had something else planned for today, but I thought this should come ahead and be prioritized because, like I said, I jumped onto social media. I saw so much information about other people's kids that I could find where they are in a heartbeat. I could call their name out as they're walking to and from school and they would know, yep, that person knows me. I would know their teacher to pick them up from their classroom. All of these things. It's really scary, guys, and it's real. And as we discussed, AI is a new age. It's something else to add to be on the lookout for, and it's really scary. The things that are out there, and people have said this about the internet for so long, but now with the use of AI, artificial intelligence, can't even delete something when asked to delete. They're like, how do I get rid of this on my database? What are you talking about, sir? This is staying forever. If that doesn't freak you out, I don't know what will. So I'm really pleased to have made this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Please share it with your family members and people who you know have children. I hope somebody gained something out of this. And yeah, thank you so much. Please make sure you subscribe and let me know what you thought. And I hope to see you next week listening in. So have a fantastic week and keep cool if you're in Perth. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Exhuming the Truth. I hope you've enjoyed it here. If so, you can subscribe to stay up to date on new episodes, or you can find us on both Instagram and Facebook. Please feel free to jump onto our Facebook group to join in on the case discussions. You can find the link to that in our podcast notes and on our website. As always, stay curious, stay informed, and until next time, trust your instincts and keep seeking the truth.